A while back, I retrofit my 130-year-old house with modern networking. For the first time ever, there were Ethernet runs to the common rooms, Wi-Fi access points spread throughout the home, and cameras outside to watch the perimeter. And the video? The video did far better than I ever expected. But 3 million views later, and I've got some regrets. Not because my retrofit didn't work, it did, but because I've learned a lot since then, like a lot. And there are easier methods for running cable, there are wiser ways to wrangle Wi-Fi, and there are smarter strategies for future-proofing that I just didn't consider all of those years ago. Not to mention, 5 years is a long time in the world of networking, and a lot of my once cutting-edge equipment is now slow and archaic. In short, I need an upgrade. But because I laid the groundwork right the first time, today's upgrade should be easy. And along the way, I will show you what I'd do differently if I were starting from scratch. My first mistake is that I got a little carried away and ran a lot of cable. There's like a quarter of it hanging down right here. Some of it I've never even frankly used, and the rest of it is hilariously overkill. That retrofit video, that took us like 3 straight weeks of filming and crawling through crawl spaces, threading cables through walls, terminating ends. It was a whole thing. And honestly, I could have spent way less time running a lot less cable, but into a greater number of rooms. Because here's the thing, life changes. What used to be our TV room is now a nursery. A nursery with 7 10 gigabit capable Ethernet runs in the wall. Yeah, my kid's gonna have the lowest latency CoComelon stream in the Western Hemisphere. Meanwhile, the dining room, which we didn't run any Ethernet to because I thought it's a dining room, who's gonna need that? Well, it now houses the Samsung Wireless One Connect box and my game consoles for our wall-mounted frame TV in the other room. There is zero Ethernet there, like none. And by the way, that very, very sucky TV has a very lengthy video coming soon, so get subscribed to experience one of my most anger-filled rants in years. But look, I hear ya. When? What if I have a lot of devices? Great question. You get a switch. They're cheap. Most devices don't pull more than a gigabit of bandwidth anyways. And if you do have something big like a home server or a NAS, or you're doing nerd stuff like Docker containers and VLANs and you want a faster dedicated backbone, well, you can get a 2.5 gigabit switch for peanuts. Ubiquiti makes a 4-port model powered over PoE for $50. $50! Of course, that operates on the assumption that your distribution switch is capable of multi-gigabit transfers, which, well, mine is not. So, I suppose we shall upgrade it. And you no longer have a reason to not upgrade the audio quality of your home videos and your smartphone clips. Trust me when I say we have spent literal thousands of dollars in audio equipment, but it's remarkable what companies like today's sponsor, Hollyland, are doing to bring capable solutions at almost nonsensibly low prices. For example, you are hearing audio from a Lark A1 microphone. I'm wearing one, and Benjamin is wearing one as well. How are these mics connected?
They're both connected to a USB-C dongle connected to my Z Fold 7. That you get lossless audio quality, clipping protection, and 9 hours of battery life on a single charge.
And up to 54 hours of battery with the included case. The mic's attached to your clothing or to your bags magnetically. They can be app controlled, and they even have noise cancellation. For example, I can turn on this very loud vacuum pump, and with the press of a button, well, you wouldn't even know. It's still running.
For $35, you can get both mics without the case.
And for $50, you can even get the charging case with both microphones and a USB-C transmitter. I mean, that is insanely cheap. I have spent almost triple that on just a stupid plug for a professional microphone, much less an entire set. Use the link below to improve your audio quality on the cheap so you can spend more money, or you really want to, on the rest of your production. This thing looks like a disaster. You spend all this time making the perfect rack, and then a few years pass and you come down and you say, what happened to this thing? It looks awful. You say that about yourself too after you get married for a couple of years. You let things slip. I'm on the mend though, don't worry about me. Okay, so there are a few components here that are all working together to achieve a common goal. This device right here is the UDM Pro Max. This is Ubiquiti's router or gateway. And it's pretty cool because it has 2 drive sleds and a 2.5 capable input from your ISP. Technically, you can do a 10 gig input from your ISP if you go real crazy, but that's over SFP only. It's also got a little bit of a faster processor than the Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pro, which is the original that I bought, like a long time, 10 years ago, maybe? Long time ago. Then we've got a switch up here, which is what I'm replacing. This is 24 ports, PoE to every port, but it's only single gigabit. So I've been talking about how multi-gigabit lifestyle is the way to go. I haven't been living it for the last few years. But there is one instance on my computer where I would like multi-gigabit. And so this switch, the USW Pro HD, will work for many, many years to come. It's pretty expensive at $1,000, but you get 22 2.5 gigabit capable PoE++ ports and 2 PoE++ ports capable of 10 gigabit, and then you got 4 SFP that are capable of 10 gigabit as well. So 600 watts of total PoE power, 24 ports for Ethernet, 22 of them 2.5 gig, 2 of them 10 gig. Needless to say, I'm not going to need to worry about this for years. But the device, while installed, is not plugged in, not adopted, and I have to move everything from here to here. So I guess let's do that. And it's turning on. This has ether lighting. Ether lighting is kind of silly, but it's kind of amazing. It's RGB for every single Ethernet port on the switch. Why would you want that? Well, because it's fun, but also because it allows you to quickly identify ports when you're trying to diagnose stuff, which is actually pretty freaking handy. Oh, it's so fun. White, now red, now orange. And while this thing is booting, we'll remove the existing rack studs. Rack studs, by the way, are amazing if you don't know what they are. Most racks require cage nuts. They're metal, they're terrible, they're hard to put in, they're impossible to take out, they cut up your fingers, they're the worst. These things are just plastic. It doesn't seem like they'd hold a lot of weight, but they sure do. Check how easy it is to put them in. Boom, boom, done. Check how easy it is to pull them out. Boom, boom, done. In, out, in, out. They're amazing. And you just go bloop, and then they will hold an insane amount of weight, even though they're just plastic. I love them. Can I be honest with you? Some of these don't actually go to anything. Like, they all end up somewhere, but some of them are just straight up not plugged into any devices. But someday, when I plug them in, it'll be great. They'll just work.
One eternity later.
You might be thinking, wow, this looks terrible. Well, you're wrong, because magic. It's called video editing. So there you have it. I've now got 2.5 gig links to every cable drop in my house. And in areas where I've got but one cable, I can throw in another cheap 2.5 gig switch to share the love. But Quid, if you connect a single 2.5 gigabit switch to a single 2.5 gigabit uplink, isn't that a bottleneck for everything downstream? Yeah, technically. But let's take my media console for example. When are my PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and Apple TV all going to pull an aggregate of 2.5 gigabits per second simultaneously? The answer is never. It's never going to happen. And if I really think it will, well, I just spend a couple $100 on a 10 gig switch and a few hundred more on a therapist. This may come as a shock, but running less cable is cheaper and easier than running several dedicated lines through your walls. Now, if it's new construction, sure, go for it. But for a retrofit, I really wish I would have just kept it simple, meeting my needs for today and assuming that fancy high throughput switching equipment would drop in price over time, because it always does. Now, while cable may be cheaper than buying a few $30 switches, your time isn't. Now, I do still recommend 2 runs to most drops, a primary and a backup, because cables fail. Stuff happens. Maybe a mouse chews through one, maybe you mess up a termination, or maybe you do someday need a dedicated 10 gigabit uplink for something like Plex or Jellyfish running on a home lab full of suspicious torrents. Not that I condone that. If that's the case, having dual runs means you've already got the bandwidth back to the router, no rewiring necessary. And wow, what an incredible segue, because I do need to do a new run to a room that I didn't consider 5 years ago, an upstairs bedroom that just isn't being served well by my current configuration. And so that brings us to here, my disgusting attic, which I will say makes for a pretty good sound booth. Insulation, huh? Insulation that is disgusting and old. I don't really want to spend very much time up here, and while I could take a lot of time trying to find the wall in which to push the cable through, sometimes the easiest thing to do is just an exterior run. Now, because this is the utility side of my house, there's already crap all over from ISPs and gas companies and electrical companies. What's one more cable? With the cheap outdoor rated cable that has a UV resistant jacket, I can set up an Ethernet run that will last at least several years, and if I'm lucky, a couple of decades without ever having to replace it. And well, I'm just gonna follow the line set from my air conditioning system, because that's already there, it's already easy, and I have to spray foam it. I didn't do that last year, and it appears that some birds made a nest. Great. If we tape our cable end up with some electrical tape, we can just basically feed it through. And we're out. And I'm just gonna feed basically this whole thing. It's 125 feet, which is a lot more than I need, but it's better to have too much than not enough. And now we're outside, easy as that. The cable's coming down from the soffit in my attic, and all I really have to do is punch back in through the wall, and then come back here once I've got it all buttoned up and make this nice, reduce the slack, make sure it's attached to the foundation. That'll happen eventually. Not right now though. I just want to get this in place. Although at the same time I pull off this Comcast box that hasn't been used in 20 years. Oh boy. If you thought my attic was gross, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just gotta keep going. Hey, this is all the old Ethernet I put up a few years ago. Still holding strong. And with a little bit of gumption, we find ourselves in the home stretch. Easy as that. Every once in a while, I ask myself, why did I buy this dumb house? And then I sit in front of my frame TV that doesn't work. And so I only can observe the beautiful moldings and finishings, and I go, aha, that's why. A little bit of movie magic. Give it 2.5 gigabit PoE. There was really no movie magic involved. I don't know why I said that. Cool. And now, thanks to that new run, I've got a multi-gigabit switch sitting in my attic that's pushing both data and PoE power to not one, not two, but 3 devices. A Wi-Fi 7 in-wall access point in the bedroom, an outdoor 360 security camera watching my driveway, and this, a cable snaking into my kitchen, destined for one of Ubiquiti's U7 Pro XGS access points. Look, I covered Wi-Fi 7 early last year, before the spec was even finalized, back when the total number of Wi-Fi 7 devices could literally fit on less than one hand. Now, more than a year later, we've got legitimate options on both the access point and the client side. But here's the thing. That Wi-Fi 7 badge you'll find on boxes, it's basically the new 4K TV sticker from 5 years ago. You'll find it slapped on everything, from genuine flagship hardware to bargain bin junk that technically meets the spec but delivers wildly different real-world performance. Case in point, the iPhone 16 lineup, Apple's only Wi-Fi 7 devices, which are honestly pretty hamstrung at that. They're limited to 160 megahertz channel width instead of the full 320 megahertz that the standard supports. So while a nearly 2-year-old OnePlus 11 can pull over 3.5 gigabits per second over Wi-Fi 7, my iPhone 16 Pro maxes out at around 1.2 gigabits per second. That's still fast, sure, but it's not that much faster than Wi-Fi 6E. It's certainly not Wi-Fi 7 fast. The point is, Wi-Fi 7 deployment is stupidly complicated. It's not just about picking the right hardware, it is channel selection, it's interference management, you have backhaul considerations, and about 17 other variables that I do not have time to unpack in this video. So hit subscribe because I am doing a deep dive later this year on all there is to Wi-Fi 7 nonsense. But I need Wi-Fi today, particularly outside, because isn't it funny that the outdoor devices we use, connected grills, robotic gardens, and more, use just like the crappiest Wi-Fi devices ever that can't reach to any access point inside the house? Is frustrating. Not to mention that when we're backing down the driveway in our car, which is effectively a big metal Faraday cage, a sarcophagus of steel and aluminum, that also going through a massively thick brick wall is not feasible for most of our internal access points. So we're connected to the Wi-Fi network, but we're not actually getting any data, which makes it impossible to make sure that our alarm is checked, to do a little Snapchat before we go, I want outside Wi-Fi. And the best way to do that, or at least so I think, we'll find out, is using an outdoor access point. These are relatively new in the Wi-Fi 7 space because there is extra certification through the FCC that is required for outdoor access points. This one does not actually support 6 gigahertz, unlike most Wi-Fi 7 devices. There is a U7 Pro model for quite a bit more money that does, but I'm not doing anything that's super high performance. It's just a little click here, a little click there, a little Wi-Fi thing here, a little Wi-Fi. No speed is required. It's gonna be fine. So, let's open this beautiful thing. Whoa, that's heavy. I think this thing is designed to be in direct sunlight because there is a massive, monster heatsink on the back of this thing. Look at that. That's metal. Whoa. This thing's kind of pretty. Please ensure the rubber grommet is securely fastened to prevent water damage. Okay. Aha, yes, yes, yes. This thing has built-in antennas straight on the front of the device that projects out at about a 90-degree pattern. And that's probably what I'm going to do because, well, it actually says 90-degree pattern for 2.4 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz is only 45-degree pattern. But I'm going to put it right here. That shoots 5 gigahertz right down the driveway, which is our phones and other things that we'll have in the car. 2.4 gigahertz devices like IoT stuff, my grill, everything else, that doesn't matter. That can be 2.4. Now, they do have omnidirectional antennas that you can place on the device to make this thing effectively a 360-degree access point, but it massively decreases your range because omnidirectional antennas just don't travel as far. I don't think I'm going to do that, plus that looks ugly. I'm just going to use the basic built-in antenna. Methinks. Maybe I'll change my mind. Well, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because that's a problem for later. Right now, I have to figure out something else. Remember how previously in this video I said, don't worry about running a bunch of Ethernet cable. Just run one and then you can use a switch. I'm about ready to practice what I preach, but not on purpose, on accident, because I am dumb. A couple of years ago, when I redid my gym, I basically just drilled in through the top plate, shoved a few Ethernet in there, and then put some insulation in, stapled the thing shut with OSB. I'm never getting back inside, and there's no way I'm fishing new cable through. So I've got to basically steal a cable that's going to one of my access points right now that's inside the gym. I'm going to tap into it with a switch, put a switch there, and then I can power both that access point and the new one off of this, which is the Unify Flex. These things are about $100, but they're pretty awesome because basically what you do is you provide it PoE power in, and then it can power 4 other devices via PoE, which is pretty slick. So you just have to run one cable, but you can run security cameras, you can run access points, you could run whatever you want, as long as it's PoE. Like a USB-C cable charger. Those are actually pretty cool, by the way. All right, let's do it. Narwhal vacuum cleaners are not only excellent performers, they make for a very nice step ladder. Okay, we're gonna release the access point. Dang, holy giblets. I forgot how hot these original U7 access points get. The new XGSs, the ones we just installed, those actually have active cooling. There's a fan inside. These do not, and like, all right, so we pull this up. Here's our Ethernet cable. We're gonna plug it into the switch. Oh, fiberglass on my arm, that's gonna suck later. And then we go here and we rotate. There we go, it's on. Now, I open up the app and adopt the new switch. It's incredibly hot up here. Who needs a sauna when you have a 140-degree attic? Jeez Louise. All right, just go here, just go here, just go here. Measure not even once, drill once. And where'd it go? I don't see it. Could be behind my OSB. Hold on. Found it. Beautiful, beautiful. And now we simply pull it through the hole. And while I have full confidence, oh dear, that wasn't very good. All right, that wasn't my best cut and slice. Here we go, let's try trimming again. That's the problem with solid wire, it kind of sucks. All right, oh goodness gracious. Okay. There we go. I don't know what happened, that was weird. Okay. Did I plug in the right cable?
Sure you know how to use that right?
No. I pushed the wrong button. It's been a while. You actually have to push the testing button. And when I do that, it says pass. Can I beef on Ubiquiti for a minute? One of the things they do that I hate is they don't install a paper installation manual. I get it. If you can serve, you can save. But they give you so much extra crap. I don't think they're like, it's not an eco-friendly thing. It's probably so they can update it if things change. But they give you these IKEA manuals with no English, no, just pictures. And they're not good, and there is no manual. If you need help with a product, they're like, oh, go find our help base. And it's this generalized help base with now a GPT-based like LLM that helps you search. It's not good. It's not helpful. Do better. Love ya. That was a delicious cold one too. Here's a fun fact about Philips. You never want to go a smaller size because you'll cam out. So even if it looks small, use a bigger one first. Okay. New device found. Access point U7 outdoor set up. Pending adoption, adopting. Wow. It's not broadcasting client-facing Wi-Fi. Well, it should. Updating. We're hacking into the mainframe. I could really use a cold Diet Coke right now. That's better. And so too is my home networking. Here's what I've learned, okay? Perfection is the enemy of done, and overkill is the enemy of your wallet. You don't need Cat 8 cable that costs $5 per termination. You don't need 10 gig to every room. What you need is a network that works for how you actually live, with enough headroom to grow, but not so much that you're paying for theoretical performance that you're never going to touch. And the beauty of doing it right, but not too right, is that upgrading, as you saw, becomes trivial. And for most houses, all of the groundwork for peace of mind can be achieved with an afternoon of strategic cable runs, well-placed access points, and switches where you need them. Not 3 weeks of crawling through crawl spaces, running enough copper to wire up a small apartment building, like I did all those years ago. Do as I say, not as I do. Especially when it comes to being you, because you're enough. Thanks so much for watching. As always, stay snazzy.